Welcome, everybody. It's your boy Gonzo Cervantes and the boss, the man, the legend, the myth, all those above, George Wells. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing fantastic, man. How you doing?
Doing well, man. Glad to see you. It's been an eventful week at the ladder, and this is what we did today. We're gonna recap. So why don't you tell us? Why don't you set us off? What are we talking about today?
Man, there's been some big matches and some big call outs. Like we've got Shane Patrick on the ladder now. He's a 67 average. So he called out Rich Block. As much as it's way down on the ladder right now, everybody's got to climb their way up, right? So, but having him on the ladder to push guys like Chris Thiel, yourself, Mark Buckley, it's gonna be nice to see some of these guys up at the top soon.
My boy Shane Patrick, no joke, man. Uh, he can shoot. So
Man,
he's pushed me every time from the very first time I played him, and we were actually playing in the Wednesday league, and we were actually fighting for like the first place or something like that, or even the championship or whatever it was. And I just came just barely beat him, barely like last dart barely. And man, he came back and handed me a whooping the next time I played him. He was like,
yeah,
"Yeah,
man.
yeah, I didn't like losing." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't blame you." Damn, he whooped.
You're the same way.
Oh yeah, I am the same way. I am the same way. But yeah. So very happy. I'm glad that he's on board. He's gonna push a lot of us. So what else is going on?
Well, we had Clark Webster, who's making waves. The guy seems like an underdog every time I see him in a match, and sometimes he always pulls it off, right? So he played Ray Sturgis, which Ray's one of our longest reigning champs, and he actually beat him 6-2. He threw a 56 average, so I'm not 100% what his average actually is. I think it's right around there, but
Mm.
he's throwing anywhere from mid 50s to 60s, man. Like the guy's good.
Um,
We had Michael Lee call out Matt Law. They're 57 average and a 61 average between the two of them, right? So that'll be a really good match to see. Again, another one a little further down on the ladder, but definitely a solid match that I'm looking forward to. Are you familiar with either of those guys yet?
not yet, not yet. I haven't seen any other posts either. So maybe that's one that we can keep an eye on this week. Maybe they'll let us know when they're gonna play, so we could even at least follow it in Dark Connect.
Yep, yep, for sure. I'll talk to them definitely. Just looking through the list that I've got here. Like, I know I was just talking to Tim, and he's playing Chris Berry. They're supposed to be playing around like 8:30 today, so that's another like big match. Like Tim's an up and comer. That's man, the guy's a serious shot. He's shooting 60 averages, right? I think his average is actually a little bit below that, but every time I see him, he's throwing like a 60 average, right? So him against Chris Berry, that's going to be fireworks for sure.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we could talk about this another time, but I know how Chris shooting. He's I think he may be going through one of those down,
A little
like
bit of a slump.
a little bit of a slump, as we say. Yes. So, but man, when he gets out of it, man, he's dangerous shooter. Man, he could shoot 100 after 100 after a 140. Like, so that's gonna be a good match too.
Definitely a
Hopefully,
good match. If Tim's going to have his hands full, if Chris comes out of that slump and starts shooting the way that we know he can, Tim's going to have his hands full for sure.
absolutely. I see you also have Neil and Kyle B played.
Yeah, Neil jumped from down a little bit and jumped into 15th place, so he's back into the top 20 again. So he's got to be happy with that for sure. They didn't really throw their best. Kyle, I believe, is like a 49 average. He threw just below that in like the 47 range, somewhere in there. And Neil threw down in like the 45 range. But even though he shot a lower average, he still pulled off the win, right? So sometimes the averages don't tell the whole story, right?
Hey man, I could tell you that that is true. It does not. It does
No.
not. Um, and let's see. So I think Kyle B also had a second match, right? Or no,
Let me
that's
take a look.
upcoming. I think
Yeah,
that's up and
he
coming.
did. He played Brian Webb, and they both shot like way better that round. Like they both shot a 56 average, right? But Kyle took the win on that one there. So it's amazing to see. Like, and I think those games both happened on the same day. So it was like uh, throwing like way under your average for, well, not way under your average, but under average for Kyle. And then the very next game, jumping right back up there and throwing a 56 average, right? Like, it's amazing the difference from one game to another.
Uh,
Brian Belbraddock called out Ray Sturgis.
hmm.
That's a big step up in competition for Brian. Brian's been on the verge of breaking into the top 10 for like a little bit now, probably for maybe a month now. And it's going to be exciting to see how much he ups his game when he's playing a guy like Ray, because Ray is our longest reigning champ. Like he held the title for the longest reign. So it's going to be good to see how that plays out.
I haven't played Ray in
Neil called out. Sorry, go ahead.
no. I said I haven't played Ray in a long time. Actually, the last time I played him was for the title, and then I think yeah, he beat me for it that the very first time I got a shot at the title. So it's been a long time since I've played Ray.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure who your next title shot is going to be against. I know you've got one against Kirk Hess
Yes.
for when he gets back, but there's got to be another. Oh, Kyle. I gotta hold on. I'm gonna pull up my other list because that's a big match that's coming up very soon. Is Kyle against? It's your next title shots. Kyle G versus Clark. I don't even have that on my list right now. That's a huge match that's going to be happening. Kyle G versus Clark.
Ooh, okay.
Winner of that gets a title shot against you.
Uh oh. Uh oh. I better
Right?
start practicing.
Kyle G is definitely the favorite in that match. But again, like I said, like Clark's been an underdog in like the last 3 or 4 matches that he's played, and he's come out on top every time. I was actually just talking to him about it because he was like, in our last interview, I mentioned that I don't remember the last time Clark lost, and he was just like, "Huh, let me find out." So we went back in the stats just to find out when the last time he lost was, and it was 2 months ago, over
Oh,
2 months ago, and he hasn't lost since. Like just straight run to the top,
so Kyle, no pressure.
no pressure
that will be a nice one to stream too. So don't be shy, guys. Let us know.
for sure. What else do we got that happened this week? Oh, Doug challenged Wayne. So Doug, I want Doug to get to the top. He's another one that's like a 60 plus shooter. That's like as long as, and he hasn't challenged in a while. So I was glad to see that like he's got a challenge out there. Same with Chris Thiel. Like it took them a while to get their match in, but Chris just beat Mike Edwards, right?
Mm.
And he threw a 70 average beating Mike Edwards,
And
right? So
one of the things I also want people on the ladder to know, just in general, right? It's we say 60 plus shooters or like 50 something shooters. I myself came in, I think when I did the ladder I might have been shooting something in the 40 mid 40s or something like that. And after practice, whatever that meant, I got a chance to play at the top of the ladder, had a couple of shots at the title itself, but that wasn't really like it was like the way that I was playing. Those guys that shoot the higher averages, man, they really push you. They motivate you to get that. So yes, it's practice, but playing those players, like if you're down there with the 40 averages, man, you could, if you push yourself, just challenge whoever the highest person you can challenge. Take it on. You'll see. You get that experience, man. It's fun and you'll push you. So you could be right
yeah,
up. That's what I say.
yeah, it really makes you elevate your game when playing against somebody that much better than you. You know what I mean? Right? Obviously, you can go too high and get like literally just dusted, right? But
There's
if
that.
you're a 45 shooter and you get a chance to shoot against somebody that's 49-50, definitely do it. Definitely do it.
Yeah, yeah. Don't let that number. You know, and actually, I don't know how often we update those numbers, George. I know that you did it at least once in maybe the past 2 months, but I think you like to see maybe like a jump of four or a change of four to be able to update it. So how do the players do that? They just DM you?
Sorry, say that again.
So like, you know, so we have our averages there, right? So how often do you update those averages on the list?
I'm basically asking people to. It's again, it's something that's self-policed. If you look at your average or you know that you've been playing above your average, shoot me a message and just be like, hey, my average has gone up by 3 points or 4 points or something like that, and I'll update it. 1 or 2 points, not a big deal, right? But as soon as you're getting above like 3 or 4 point difference, definitely let me know so that people know what they're up against, right?
Right. And I'm also curious too how if anybody has actually thought about what's it called, uh, how well they did prior to the numbers being there. In other words, like if now all of a sudden it's a mental thing, we're like, oh man, that person's shooting at 52. I better be careful, right? Because before we didn't have
Yeah.
that; it was just your ranking, right? So I'm wondering if that is playing. But if you're in the chat, let me know if that's something. Well, let us know if that's something that you even thought about, or if for those newcomers it doesn't make a difference. But for those who've been in the ladder for a while, I would be curious to see if that plays mind games on you.
Oh, for sure.
Oh.
I'm actually looking at my list right now, and I think Tim and Chris already played. I'm almost
Okay.
positive they almost played because down further on the list, I've actually got where to go. Tim versus uh, Tim versus Mark B. That's who he's
Um,
playing right now. Tim S against Mark B. Mark Buckley. That's going to be a huge match. That's the one that's happening at 8:30 tonight. That's a huge match. Like I'm not expecting Tim by any means to beat Mark Buckley, but he's going to push him for sure.
Ooh, all right. Well, who else? Who else played this week? I think I see Real on the list. I see
Yeah,
Henry.
Mark Buckley played Real, and Real did fairly well against him. Mark shot like 10 points below his average, right? But uh, Real took a Real, I believe his name is Real, took 4 games off of him. So each set went to the max set. It was 3-2 and 3-2. So he had
Hmm.
a chance to take a set off of him. That would have been a huge upset.
Yeah, yeah. I think Mark may have shot a 71 leg in one of those games too. But yeah, I'm pretty sure those numbers are, and that's funny, man. When you look at the legs, I know you look at the stats and you'll see like average, and then something like jumps up like 10, 15 points, and then all of a sudden it goes like 10 below. Next leg is like 10 points below.
Yep.
It's just crazy how one gets into a zone and just falls right off.
Yep.
Who else you got in here?
George O played Mike Dart League, and George was back up throwing a 56 average again. Like he kind of fell off a little bit on his last match. Can't remember who he lost to, but he didn't throw very well. I believe he threw like the high 40s, but bounced straight back against Mike Dart League and threw a 56 average. Henry took a big jump on the ladder. I think it was like 7 or 8 spots that he jumped up playing against Gene, whose actual name is like Ross.
I see that. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, he that was a big jump. And Daniel Vigil over Chow. Like Daniel Vigil's another one. I think he's like a 62 average or a 63 average or something like that. Like and I just get excited when I see these new guys onto the ladder that are throwing like in the 60s and 70s. Like as soon as I see them starting to climb, I'm just like, yes. Like, you know what I mean? It's just so exciting.
There was a 93 average leg on that match with Daniel and Chow. I think.
Oh yeah. Eh?
Yeah, yeah, it's a 16 daughter in there. That's a good leg right there.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
And I think you have one final one here, right? I think you said Chris Teal. He played one too, or I think you may have
Yep,
mentioned
against Mike Edwards. That was where he threw the 70 average.
he threw the 70 out, and he had 288 legs in that one. So
Yeah.
that
Well,
explains the
finishing with
70.
that's crazy, right? To finish with a 70 average, and just like you the other day, throwing an 80 average, it blows my mind that you guys are able to put those kind of legs together. One-offs is one thing, but to consistently shoot so that your average overall he played 6 matches against Mike Edwards, and threw a 70 average over 6 legs. Like that's, man, some good darts, man.
That's some. I mean, that's when you're in the zone. But I mean, he's consistent. Like I mean, I think my very next match, I probably shot like a 55, really off my number, right? So that's something that I think a lot of us are working on or try to work on is that consistency.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
And I know in one of the, I don't think we mentioned it, but I think Eric Roberts played Debbie Stevenson. I
Yeah,
think
man, and
Debbie took that one 2 games to 1 and even shot a 62 leg, which is it's a nice leg for Debbie.
oh, 100%. Like that's she's been struggling on the ladder for a while, right? So to see her beating someone that can shoot, like Eric's a good shot, you know what I mean? Right? As much as he's new to the ladder and he's down there, right? But to see Debbie pull off a win against him was definitely nice. Fuck you, Eric.
Well, I think somebody's got it for somebody. I hear.
Yeah. I'm just a Debbie fan. That's all it is.
We're all Debbie fans. We love Debbie.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, is there anything else you want to highlight as far as any last minute matches or challenges that you've seen coming in?
Not that I've seen coming in. I think we've talked about pretty much all the big matches that we've got. Again, Kyle and Clark. That's one that's not on my list. We definitely need to stream that because that's going to be a killer match. And again, I'm pulling for Clark in that. Just the underdog. He's never had a title shot, right? Sorry, Gonzalo. If he goes up against you, I'm going to be pulling for him as well.
Kyle, come on, do your thing, Kyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, man. I mean, it's seeing these great shooters coming up is like just makes me like, man, I gotta get. For me, like I think I mentioned, the 75, 80, 90% is all mental. Like the physical will
Yep.
take care of itself. So for me, that's part of the game. So, but yeah, man, can't wait. We'll reach out to them to see if we could stream that for sure. And then, so around this time is usually when we're like, okay, we look forward to the next matches. We wrap up, but I want to also highlight something that does happen related to the matches, right? Why don't we talk about, George, about what happens when you don't challenge somebody or when you do have a challenge? What is the time period that one has to set it up? What are some of the suggestions or some of the things that you should do before? Or what is the responsibility of the players, basically, right? Like let the new folks know, and remind the others like why we have these things in place. So why don't you tell us about what happens when two people are challenged?
So 2 people get challenged. They're expected to play within 14 days, right? That doesn't always happen, right? If a match is running late and you're starting to get towards the 14-day, the only thing you guys need to do is reach out to me. Reach out to me and be like, hey man, like it's coming up on the 14-day mark. We need a little bit more time. We are working on it because I just had to drop 2 guys on the ladder just recently, 5 spots each because they just never played their match. It was like 25 days old. Nobody had contacted me to be like, hey, like our match is going past. We're working on it. So it's basically they put out a challenge and then did nothing about it. They just sat on it, which holds up the ladder, right? You're blocking up spots. right? Like somebody might have been sitting there being like, oh, I want so and so to play so I can challenge this person, or everything's blocked in front of me. Somebody's got to play a match. And when you're just sitting on a match, the rule came about because we had quite a few people just sitting on matches.
Right.
And I had people coming to me and being like, man, like this match is so old and nobody's playing in front of me. I don't have a chance to challenge anybody because the whole ladder's just blocked, right? So that's where that rule came from. And it's a really easy way to not drop 5 spots. Contact me, just communicate, just be like, hey, George, like we are working on it. We haven't forgot about it. You know what I mean? We're working on it. Perfect. You're working on it. Fantastic. I'll give you an extension. When do you think you can get it in? Oh, we can probably get it in on like Thursday. Perfect. Can't get it in on Thursday? Message me. Be like, man, we tried, we failed. It's going to be played on Saturday. All right, try and get it done on Saturday because I don't want people breathing down my neck. This is the way the conversation would go. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's not a big deal at all. As long as I know that people are working on their matches.
Right. Right.
Right.
And sometimes, you know, maybe one just can't get it scheduled. It happens, right? Life happens. You know,
Yep.
sometimes you don't feel whatever it is. You know, the other opponent at some point, you know, my thought has always been like, hey, you know, if I'm really that bad and I can't make it, I'm just gonna say, hey, I'm gonna have to forfeit my spot. Like it's my call, it's my decision. I know it's not the thing to do or the preferred thing to do, but I can be holding people up. You know, so
Yep.
that's always an option too. You know, I mean, for me, that's my preference. But like you said, it's always about communication, right? Like, hey, we're trying, we're trying, we're trying. And listen, sometimes you just got to be that person that says, hey, look, man, I've been trying to contact this individual, George, and I just can't get an answer back. And that's okay too. Just tell us, right? That's the
Yep.
key here. Just tell us.
Yep.
Um, no, that is true. It does block people from moving up. So remember, just let George know if you have any issues. Um, and then lastly, I know something interesting happened this past week where I think you summarized it best. Um, where there was a challenge at the bottom, that person won or lost and went above the other person that had just challenged. Can you tell me about that? There was like a unique
Yeah.
situation happening, like you know,
It
first
like
time in the
literally
ladder.
has happened. Yeah, it's literally happened like 3 times on the ladder. The first time it happened, I was like, all right, guess I got to create a new rule to kind of embody this, like what just happened. And it's happened a few times since, but the last time was with Nick Highland and Andrew Kidd. So Nick Highland had challenged Andrew Kidd, and Andrew beat him. So now Nick is still below Andrew Kidd, which he just lost, so he should be. But then Nick challenged somebody above Andrew and leaped past him. Now normally you'd have to wait a week before you can re-challenge someone, but in this situation, because you just beat him and now the guy ends up ahead of you, you can challenge him back right away. So, and that's exactly what happened. Didn't work out for Andrew because he ended up losing that match, but that's the a neat little rule that like never comes up. It's so rare. In 2 years, it's come up 3 times. It's a it's a
Yeah,
unique little scenario.
yeah, it's the first time it's happened to me that I've seen it. So that's why I thought it was pretty interesting to you know also point out that hey, listen, if they are first things or things that barely happen, bear with us as George looks through the rule book and through his memory to sort it out. So it does still require a lot of work, as we said. You know, George, thank you again for all the updates and all the things that you know. Like I said, when we get an update from you about what happens in a couple of days, is always exciting. So
Man, I'm
yeah,
glad you guys are really enjoying it. I hope you guys are enjoying this what we're doing right here. Like this is exciting for me. You know what I mean? Getting to actually just talk about what I see on the ladder on a regular basis. You know what I mean? Like it's really exciting.
yeah, and I think we have a couple of people on the chat over here. I can't read the whole name, but it's AM who let us know that the audio was a little low earlier. So thank you for letting us know. That's awesome. Um, and I don't know who, vaping Brizzle. I don't know.
Brizzle, Brizzle from
Is
down
it
on.
Brizzle?
I'm gonna guess that's who that is.
Oh, okay. Is that I couldn't make it out. I can match the names sometimes.
Yeah, yeah,
Some
yeah.
some of the names on the Dark Connect are very different than what I see on the ladder. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit weird like that. Oh, there, yeah, he's correcting me. It's Brizzle. There it is. But yeah, so once again, thank you, George, for joining us. And thank you for the recap and keeping everything running smooth as always. We appreciate all those who are joining and who are tuning in, as they say. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. The more numbers, the more that we can get these going and the streams going. So definitely let us know. George, any last words?
Yeah, man. I told the guys that we might have an interview at the end of this. So let's interview the man, the champ, Gonzalo.
Well,
Let's
thank you.
interview Gonzalo. Flip the roles here a little bit.
I wasn't prepared for this. You kind of hinted at it, but I wasn't sure about that one.
Yeah, man. Let's do it. So, man, tell us about your dark journey, like where you started and how you ended up champ of the ladder.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, I've been playing darts in a local league for quite some time. I want to say close to 14 years since I picked up my first dart. I remember because it was right before I got married, so that's how I know.
Right.
Um, and I just started playing. My friend handed me his old darts, and he said, "Hey, you want to play with the team?" And sure, so once in a while, I would play on a weekly basis, throughout the season and on and off. And then it really wasn't until I want to say like COVID, where I'm like, well, I want to play darts, can't go out. So what do we do next? I started seeing what people were doing online and found myself playing in Dark Connect. And sure enough, my boy Jeff, I was playing him a couple of times and he said, hey, want to join the ladder? I said, sure. I think I mentioned before, I had no idea what that was. And joined and I got into the chat and he started at the bottom. I think it was 50, might have been like 50 something people at the time, actually. Might have been like
Nice.
57. So about 2 years ago, so it was around 57 people or something like that. And as I learned the rules and learned the call out rules and challenges and things of that nature, there was a tournament, a pop-up tournament very similar to the one that you ran this past week. uh and I think I beat Neil uh, Corinne from that tournament to win the chance of the title.
Oh,
And
nice.
yes, and I believe that's the one when I played Ray the first time. And I think
Okay.
that's yeah, and I believe that allowed me to at the very least get closer to the top. I think I was able to then work my way up after that. I don't remember if I actually got put in the top 10 or fell in or I just had to continue. But eventually it was had enough pluses to be able to get up there. So I ended up playing Chris Berry. I think it was for the championship at the time.
And that
And
was the first time that you won the champion?
that was the very first time I won the championship. And I think that one, I remember he had won it like on a Sunday or something like that. And I said, oh, I'm next. Let me know when you're ready. He's like, yo, I'll play you right now. And like we played the next day, and then I took it. He's like, well, that was short lived.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice, man.
Yeah, and then it's just been an back and forth, and I forgot who took that first title away from me. You kind of erased those. Um, I should have put them on my hit list. But either way, eventually, through challenges, got a chance at it again, and I was able to regain, and I've been up there for a little bit over a month or two or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
So
But
where are you
that
from, man? What do you do for a living?
so I do work in IT at a college
Okay.
here in New York City. So
Nice.
probably can't say it, but yeah. So I work at an IT. So that's what I do. Computers and technologies, something I've always enjoyed and passionate about. So
Yeah. So it makes sense why you're able to do this kind of stuff for us and everything, and like stream matches, and you seem very knowledgeable when it comes to electronics and technology. So that's awesome.
well, not very, but I tell you, YouTube University helps a lot.
That's awesome. All right, man. I'm going to close it out with 10 quick questions. All right, you ready?
Sure, let's do it.
Who's your favorite dart player?
Man, I'm gonna have to go with Aspinall.
Okay. What's your favorite brand of darts?
Ooh, right now I shoot Bully Boys, so I think they're unicorns.
Yeah. Best board on the market?
Oh man, I'm still shooting a Blade 5, but I'm gonna go with that Wimu, whatever I can never pronounce brand.
Windmill?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. All right. What's your best win on the ladder?
I gotta say when I took the championship from Chris, that's gotta be my
Yeah.
my best match. Yeah,
And your hardest loss?
every lost. I
Every
sincerely,
loss.
I sincerely mean that. You know that. I cannot
I know
stand
that because
losing.
I beat you once, and you were just like, man, that really eats me up.
And you know what happens when I
What?
lose.
Yeah. What's your highest checkout?
Actually, my highest checkout is somewhere. I think it was 150. It was a triple 20, double 15 against Ray.
Nice. What's your worst double on the board? The one that you hate the most?
I think the one that I hate the most, 10, actually.
10? Oh,
Yeah,
really? Eh?
because I can never hit
All
it.
right. The player you like facing the most?
Ooh,
We'll talk just straight on the ladder.
straight on the ladder. I don't know, but I've always found. You said dislike?
No, the one that you like facing.
Oh man, I love playing everybody. That's not fair, man. That's
That's not
unfair.
fair.
That's not fair. But I love playing everybody. I do say though, like some of my best matches are against Dustin, my boy Dustin.
Yeah, nice. All right, I'm gonna skip this one. Who the player you like facing the least? That's probably a hard one to answer as well.
Yeah, that one. That one it just depends, right? Whoever beats me is who I dislike.
And if you had a dart nickname, what would it be?
So I Wayne, no Wayne, Wade gave me a nickname. He called me. We ended up calling me the Golden Pecker. Um, and that one was funny because it was he was close to an out or something like that. And I came back and hit like a huge number, and then came back and hit it with like it was just unexpected. I was completely out of that leg, and he goes, "Man, you're such a dick." I was just like, and I'm like, "Hey," he's like, "You're such a pecker." And I'm like, "Hey, Mister Golden Pecker to you." So yeah,
That's
so,
hilarious.
so yeah, so
That's awesome, man.
so that's how that came about.
That's wicked.
Yeah,
All right, brother, man. We've been running for just over a half hour,
excellent.
right?
But thank you again, George. I appreciate it. And those are good questions, man. That's going to be on that's definitely a must do for the next interview. So you all know what you're in for. He may switch it up on you though. So don't
There we
prepare.
go.
Don't cheat. All right, my brother. Well, thank you again, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next week around the same time, 7:30 Eastern. If not, look out for any news or any updates of that. We'll post that in the messenger chat or in the Facebook page. So thank you again, Georgie.
Fantastic, man.
All right,
Thank
boy.
you, brother. And we'll talk soon, man.
Yes, sir. God bless you.